What up, guys? Welcome back to another night of chill and just another night, another session of chilling out, just relaxing, sitting back. I probably should have like a nice cup of something to drink while I do these. I do this late at night. Excuse me, it's about 10 o'clock now right now, and I thought I'd switch on the camera, switch on the lo-fi hip-hop chill music, and just start video recording what I was going to do, which was tonight I was going to do some research on Vanguard ETFs. So very recently I got into Jaspreet Singh, which is he is the owner, I suppose, of Minority Mindset, and teaches about personal wealth, personal finance, and financial education, and all that good stuff. And I find that the older I get, now that I'm verging on 39 years old, the older you get, your own sense of mortality catches up with you, right? You see your kids, if you have kids, grow up before your eyes, and you think, I'd like to retire at some point. The 9-to-5 grind becomes an actual grind, and you think, I can't wait till I retire and give this all up, and just be done with it all. And I look forward to that day. So as you get older, you start thinking, how do I create this wealth? 2022, you hear about wealth management and FIRE. That FIRE movement, something retire early. I don't know. And then you hear about all these stories of, hey, had you invested $100 when you were age 20, every month, by the time you retire, you would have like over $1 million or $2 million or something like that, right? I've always heard that, but I've ignored it. But as you get older, these things tend to sink in a bit more. So at the ripe old age of 39, I've decided to maybe pull up my socks a little bit, and consider some ETF investments. I feel like I've still got a good solid, 15 years that I can put into some investments. I've got a lot of catching up to do. I feel like the YouTube era, all these kids and all these young people have such a wealth of information at their fingertips where they can really learn to be financially independent and free from the system, where they don't have to do a 9-to-5 that they hate. Not that I do a 9-to-5 that I hate. I mean, it's okay. But financial education is something they don't teach in schools, right? You don't go to school. When I went to school, I don't recall them teaching us how to budget, how to understand money, how to understand the banking system, how to, play the system to your own advantage, to your own benefit. Like, I don't recall them teaching us the basics that will help us reduce our mortgage, or what's good debt versus bad debt, or don't buy items that are considered liabilities but only buy income producing assets. Like, they never taught anyone any of this stuff. And as you get older, they still don't teach you until you do your own research. So Jaspreet Singh, Minority Mindset, has been a wealth of knowledge, and I've been researching. I'm looking into stake, which is like self-wealth and stake. They're like self-brokerage. This is mainly for all the Aussies out there. I'm looking into kind of managing your own investment portfolio, or producing your own investment portfolio without going through like other brokerage accounts like CompSec. I think CompSec's like $20 per trade or something like that. So there's all these new platforms like Perla, Stake, Self-Wealth, Superhero, that have these low fee trades. So $3 brokerage fee for ASX trades within Australia, and then zero brokerage on US trades. There is a cost to swap from Australia to US funds, but that's the foreign exchange. But otherwise, it's zero brokerage on US trades. So you can buy like stocks from Tesla and all those, Google and Apple from America. So before I log in, I just pause it. Okay, so it's going to send me a two-step verification. Let's see. Send it to my phone. Okay, verify your login. I'm going to enter my login number now. And we're in. So as you can see, I literally set this up yesterday and I got some documentation approved, like you need your license and a few other things. And it's pretty straightforward. So it's amazing how simple these things have become with the advance of modern technology. It's so easy to control your own, financial freedom. The hard part is actually understanding the finance, but the tools are very readily available for you now, more so than ever, which is amazing. Okay, so here's my watch list. Okay, so there's a bunch of Vanguard ETFs, and here you have like Vanguard Australian shares high yield and down 1.61% within the day. Wow, that's a decent drop. But if you're used to crypto and that volatile market, I won't even show you my portfolio because that's been torn to shreds. But it doesn't matter, long-term game. Like I said, I've got like a good 15 years that I'm dedicating to something like this, so it's not too bad. Now let's take a look. Vanguard Australian Shares High Yield ETF, ticker symbol VHY, is an exchange traded fund that seeks to match the return income and capital appreciation of the FTSE ASFA, Australian High Yield Dividend Index, before taking into account fund fees. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's a mixture of sectors and industry, which is good because it helps with diversification. What else? Can you find out more information about these things? No. Okay, let's find out another one. So these ones I just looked up and saved. I just pretty much Googled or YouTubed like top ETFs in 2022, but year on year overall they 7% returns, which isn't too bad, but we're in a bit of a lull at the moment. Everyone's talking about recession, the R word, so you never know. So VAS, which is the Vanguard Australian Shares Index, also down day on day, right? I wonder if we can find out more about it. Blah, blah, blah. Trading updates. So market cap 291 million. The low is $81.57. High is 82. Okay, 52-week high. Okay, so 52-week high versus 52-week low. Like you can see, it's a decent drop, right? It's like $17. But yeah, these are on my watch list. I'm planning to buy into it as well. So there's a few on the list there, ready to kind of go. But yeah, it's weird. I've never considered. Well, I've actually thought about trades and stocks before, but I've never been game enough to commit to it because, one, I guess I was young, I was dumb, I wasn't educated enough, I wasn't financially. I always felt like it was such a big investment, right? And with brokerage fees back in the day, when I was thinking about it, like at $20, I just thought, $20 to put a buy or sell order, it's like, it's a lot, but it's like, if you don't start, when will you ever start? So I'm going to start now. But yeah, I feel like this is not financial advice, by the way, but I feel like now is a good time to buy because everyone's talking about recessions and everyone's talking about the stock market crashing. And if it does crash, they say that millionaires and billionaires are made during bear markets, because by the time you try to buy in on an uptrend, you're buying on an uptrend, right? You should be buying when everything is in the red, when it's bleeding, as long as you choose the right ones. But when it comes to index funds, companies, the top 200 companies just come and go, and index always updates itself. And year on year, it's shown that index funds outperform like managed funds, where someone does literally manages the fund and does the trades for you. So it's kind of like a good set and forget. And I'm not even going to pretend to know what all these means, but I know it's very important to understand all this stuff. And yeah, a few things you need to know I read when it comes to ETFs and all that is like chest supported. So if it's chest supported, then you get your own HIN, your own it's like a number that identifies you as the owner of those shares, right? And that's important because if the company goes down, then at least it's in your name, as opposed to I think other platforms which buy on your behalf, so they hold custody of it for you and they allocate it to you. But with certain trading platforms, you have your own HIN. And what does HIN stand for? Okay, HIN trading. And hopefully it tells me holder identification number. So I think that's only to do with Australians, but holder identification number, that's what HIN stands for. And it's a unique number that's issued to you by the ASX. So there you go. And yeah, so I haven't actually put any money into, or I have, but it's pending to come into my account. And then from that point, maybe I'll do a video showing you guys the actual buy. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to browse, read a little bit about ETFs, and get an understanding, because yeah, like I said, financial education is really lacking in the modern era, right? I feel like the kids these days are way ahead of us folks, or when I mean us folks, I mean like me. But I was thinking about it the other day, right? I was thinking, why am I so financially uneducated? And a lot of people I know are not financially savvy as well. And not to blame like cultural backgrounds or anything, but I think that does have something to do with it. I mean, if you grew up in an immigrant family who migrated to whatever country, you know, due to war, just seeking opportunity, new life, you know, all that good stuff, then the idea of success is that you study hard, you go to school, you get good grades, and you find a good job, right? And you work that 9 to 5 and you earn good money if you get a good job, right? That's the idea. That's the cultural mentality of ethnic people and minorities and immigrants, right? Study hard, get a good job, and that's how you become wealthy. But the reality is, which I watched Jaspreet say in one of his videos, is, you can become a surgeon or a doctor and earn 200k a year. Let's say, I don't know how much they earn. Let's say they earn 200k, which is very, very good. But you can also understand finances and educate yourself from in a financial perspective, and invest your money and earn just as much. But because you're investing your money and you're earning 200k from investments, you actually get tax breaks, as opposed to working a 9 to 5 and earning 200k. You get taxed at the highest bracket because you're earning so much, right? But if you understand the systems that have been put in place, and one may argue they've been put in place to oppress or to keep the poor poor and middle class is poor and keep the rich rich. Well, if you understand these systems, you can actually get ahead and beat the game, right? And that's the crazy thing. The crazy thing is, like, I feel personally like there's a reason why they kept this stuff from us, right? If I put on my tinfoil hat and talk about conspiracy theories and what I think the reality is, like, why aren't children taught this stuff in schools, right? If you know about money, usually it's because you already come from money. Like, your family already has built up something, right? And they understand the money and they've passed it down to you, right? But if you don't come from money, then it's on you to do your own education and educate yourself, because the schools won't even do it. The schools won't educate you either. But why is that? Why is this system built around keeping the poor poor? If building wealth and ensuring your own happiness through being able to supply for your family, provide for yourself, provide for your loved ones is so important. Like money brings all that, right? It brings all that support and provides for you and your family. If providing is so important, why don't they teach you how to provide? They teach you the basics of maths, science, English, literacy. But the most important literacy is like financial literacy, like financial education, wealth education. But in school, they don't teach you that. They don't teach you, and even the most basic stuff too, right? It's not just finances. It's like they don't teach you how to change a tire in school, right? They don't teach you the basics of maintenance and self-care and, how to do simple tasks around the home. I feel like that stuff is missing. But mostly finance, because I feel like that's the biggest impact. They don't want people to be able to be on their level, right? The rich just wants to get richer, and there needs to be a working class. Someone has to be the working class. So that's my gripe. And I still feel like that mentality persists. A lot of Asian families, have that idea that you work hard, you study hard, and you knuckle down and just get a job and work your 9 to 5, and you may not become wealthy, but you have enough to provide for yourself. And like Jaspreet Singh said in his video, he says, well, working 9 to 5 just gives you enough to live paycheck by paycheck. And that's also not assuming that you haven't fallen into the certain traps that society has already placed for you. Traps like, living a consumeristic life, buying things that you don't need, buying the nice car, social media influencing you to keep up with the Joneses, comparing yourself to all these other people that have something that you don't have. So not only are you working 9 to 5, earning a set amount, grinding away, but then there's also these external factors that kind of force you to fall in the trap of staying poor, And I was listening to Joe Rogan today as well, and it's an old podcast with Megan Murphy, but they were talking about, or a small section, they were talking about the education system in America and how this one lady completed college or uni or whatever, and she ended up with a debt of $200K, right? $200,000 after completing college or university to get a degree, and who knows what degree it was or what job she has obtained, but she came out with a $200,000 debt. If educating yourself is so important, if we hold education as the fundamental cornerstone of a society and the success of a society and the growth of a society, then why do we charge so much for education, adult education, tertiary education? It's crazy. And then Joe was like, not only do they charge so much, in America apparently you can't claim bankruptcy if you have student debt. And he was saying, like, you can be a company, right, take everyone's money, blow it all just from mismanagement, and then just claim bankruptcy, and it gets wiped. Your credit rating gets impacted, and certain limitations are put on you, but you're clear of that debt. You don't have to pay anyone back. But when it comes to student debt and education debt, like that never goes away. You can't claim bankruptcy on that. And not only that, like, there's interest on it. So he said, I think the story was that lady came out with a $100K loan, education loan, and then it snowballed due to interest, and it worked out to be eventually $200K. So I just find it to be ironic and hypocritical to say that education is one of the most important things for people to do, that you should always invest in your own education, and yet education is so expensive, right? It's crazy to me. It's crazy, and I don't like it. But this is the state of affairs for our modern world, and I don't feel like it's getting any better. So if you have kids, like I do, you should endeavor to teach them financial literacy, because it's obviously very important, right? Like the whole statistic that they talked about, to me, is just crazy. The idea of putting $100 into an ETF index fund from the age of 20 every month until retirement. Let's say you retire 65 or something. Due to compounding, you can end up with over $1.5 to $2 million, right? And let's see, the cost to retire in Australia. So a lot of people have also thought, and I've also thought about this, when I retire, my kids are all grown up and I'm done with work, I could retire in a overseas country. That'd be fantastic. Thailand has crossed my mind multiple times. I would love to retire in Thailand. My wife and I have been there many times. We went there for our honeymoon as well. So here, this is, according to this report, a couple would need $60,000 per year and $43,000 for a single person to have a comfortable lifestyle. So that's not too bad. That's like a couple, 60 grand between two people to live comfortably. And let's see what that means. These numbers assume that you own your own house without mortgage repayments. Spending $60K a year is not low at all for most of Australians. Why do you need that much? Okay, here's the breakdown. Housing, insurance rates, water, home repairs, home improvements, utility, communication, bundle calls. Okay, that's pretty good. Health, insurance, prescriptions, over-the-counter supplements, co-payments, food, groceries and other food, recreation, TV, movies, streaming, social activities. You may be still wondering why these expenses are up to 60K. Let's look at the details of the expense breakdowns. So I think key there is owning your own home. Like I have a colleague at work and he says, mate, if you own your own home, there's ways that you can live quite comfortably, especially with your superannuation. I think in America it's called like 401k, right? It's like the savings your employer pays towards that, and you pay towards that a little bit as well. So key retirement cost housing. The housing expenses include building and contents insurance, council rates, water charges, home improvements, home repairs. The table below shows the budgets for housing along with the lifestyles. There's no table. Utilities, electricity and gas. These numbers for a quarter, a couple living comfortably, 66. So these numbers for a quarter are 767 for a couple living comfortably. But that's not even assuming that, like, every year the price of utilities, gas, electricity goes up. Okay, water bill, $321 per quarter. Health costs. I think this is pretty important. One of the biggest concerns retirees have, the cost of health. Obviously, as you get older, illness, medication, knock on wood, God forbid, you have to go to hospital for some kind of serious injury. And I imagine even in America and other countries, the cost of healthcare is even more crazy. I hear stories of people going into debt in America just because they can't afford, to pay for healthcare. Like there's crazy stories out there where women or men have had heart attacks and they're just like, please don't call the hospital, don't call the ambulance, because I literally can't afford to go. I'd rather have the heart attack. It's that just shows you a sad state of affairs. That means there's something wrong with society when that happens. So the biggest cost is total health for a couple living comfortably. Health insurance comes at $4,210 per year. Oof, for a modest living couple. Food. It keeps saying there's a table. I can't see any tables. Anyway. Leisure. I think leisure is one of the most important ones, right? Not important, but at the end of the day, if you're retired, like you want to enjoy your retirement. You don't want to just retire and sit at home do nothing. So the cost to travel, go overseas vacation, eat out a little bit, go to movies, sports, leisure activities, you know, adds up. The budget considers one international trip in 7 years. I know a lot of people that want to travel every year, not every 7 years. Every 7 years is a big wait between overseas trip. Domestic trips is on the budget. Okay. But look, at the end of the day, you know, it comes with being old, being tired, and everything else. So maybe you wouldn't want to travel too much. Can you afford to cover them? Okay. The retirement budget in the ASFA report are well estimated. They reflect the common lifestyles in Australia and capture most of the key costs in retirement. The problem is that the estimated costs are high for most of the average Australians. Do you have enough money to spend 60k every year for more than 20 years of retirement? Those costs sum up to about 1.5 million. If you include inflation, you may not be able to save enough before retirement in order to have such a comfortable lifestyle after retirement to fill gaps between saving. So that is a comfortable lifestyle. You know, that is eating out a bit more, going out a little bit more, holidays here and there, owning your own home. I think if you lived a bit modest than that, you probably wouldn't need something like that. That's yeah, that's a nice retirement. Cost to retire in Thailand. Have you watched those videos where people are like COVID lockdown and they decide to scoot over to another country? They're living in Thailand. They're renting all these beautiful condos, beautiful island, amazing views, amazing nightlife, all these good stuff, right? And it's like, oh, $200 a month or something ridiculous like that. So good. All right, so this is March 2022, this article. How much does it cost to retire in Thailand? A complete guide. I'm Peter. I've been living and traveling in Thailand for 14 years. I'm here to give you all the information you need to make your Thai adventure safe, happy, and successful. Okay. All right, Peter. Let's see what you got for us. A recent study carried out by Net Credit estimated that a person needs approximately 390,000 US to retire in Thailand. Okay. Let's do some 390,000 USD to AUD. All right, let's just see that. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, so what? Close to 600k. The study covered most countries in the world. The goal for estimating the cost of retirement on the equivalent quality of life you'd enjoy back home. The research was based on the following lifestyle for one person. Ooh, one person only. I imagine you need less if you had two people. Maybe. Renting one bedroom apartment in a city center like Bangkok. So Bangkok would be one of the more expensive, right? Because it's the city center. If you move out a little bit more, everything is usually cheaper. 2 vacations a year, moderate drinking, and 2 vacations. Remember, like Thailand's smack bang in the middle of you know, Southeast Asia. So traveling to other Asian countries wouldn't be too expensive. Moderate drinking, don't need that because I don't drink. No smoking, fair enough. Eating out, 15% expensive restaurants, 75% inexpensive. Again, it could literally be 100% inexpensive restaurants. Or I suppose on random occasions when birthdays and stuff, you might want to eat out. Eating Western food at home, 2 round trips in public transport per week, moderate coffee takeout. Okay, the cost was calculated over 14 years, retiring at 64 with a life expectancy of 78. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think like as you get older, wouldn't you want to come home? Because like if you got sick in Thailand or some other country, I don't know if you'd trust that you get the best healthcare. How does this translate to the real world and considering the outcome? Is it cost effective to retire in Thailand? The cost of retiring. I usually ignore this type of research because seldom is it accurate, but this is surprisingly accurate. The figure 390,000 breaks down to just over 70,000 baht per month. If we do some quick summary of expenses, this is a reasonable assumption. Okay. So medical insurance, you'd have to buy that. One of the main reasons Thailand is such an attractive destination for retirees is because there are different standards of living available. You can live dirt cheap or super expensive in Thailand. Therefore, people will no doubt comment that you can live on half of the amount I've cited above. I'll zoom in for you guys. But I think 70k is a good monthly amount to aim for if you are considering retirement in Thailand. That's 70,000 baht, I think. So, 1, 2, 3 to Thai baht. Thai, where's Thai? Thai baht. How much is that? 70,000 is, oh no, 70,000 Thai baht, sorry. How do I switch that? Okay, Thai baht to US dollars. Oh, that's not too bad. You know, 2 grand. Let's switch that to Australian. Okay, 3 a month between 2 people. That's pretty good. There are expats who dine on silly priced restaurants, buy a German car at twice the price you get in Europe, rent a condo on wireless road for 80k a month and fly first class. And then there's those expats that eat for 100 baht a day and staying in a $4,000 a month condo. Not judging either way. Not everyone will require a moped, but some may want a car. Some people will accept an average condo and reduce their rent, while others will keep eating out expenses low. Will keep eating out expenses low to live in a more modern, spacious dwelling. Some people have a few beers twice a week, and others drink a few beers every night. So there are many variables. Okay. So he says, I still think you could live quite well on 50 to 60k per month. The cost of comfortable retirement in the rest of Oceania. Okay, so in Australia, 500k. Oh my god, Singapore. Why Singapore is so expensive? The cost. I thought everything was cheaper in Singapore. I know the currency is pretty strong, but Singapore is like a big. Been to Singapore once for work. Is a big hub, like a shipping hub. So they get everything from China, and usually everything is so cheap. So I'm not sure why that's so high. Thailand versus the rest of the world. So this is what happens most nights when I go delving into just research. I go down the rabbit hole and you end up like reading some random fact. Thailand's value for money when it comes to retirement. The same study estimated that a retiree needs 515,000 in the UK, 600k in the USA over the 14-year period. Thailand is only 125,000 less than the UK, but the UK is cold, grey and rainy for 6 months of the year. Here's some countries of interest: Canada, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland. Okay, the most expensive country in the world to retire in is Bermuda. Oof. The cheapest is Pakistan. Thailand versus the rest of Southeast Asia. So again, remember, Thailand, they're saying you only need 125. Okay, Thailand's only 105 less. No, actually, I can't remember how much they said. So 389. Okay, let's stick with 400k. Just round it up to 400k. So 400k, 389. Philippines cheaper, Indonesia cheaper, Malaysia cheaper, Vietnam cheaper, Cambodia cheaper. I would also, well, being Vietnamese myself, I would also retire in Vietnam. Pretty good. But Vietnam is getting more and more expensive. Singapore is very expensive. That's crazy. Must be their housing. Why is it so expensive to retire there? I can see these comments that Thailand is expensive. Thailand has had its day and that Thailand is no longer welcoming foreigners. I think these comments hold some weight in a debate of historical context, but I don't think that's the whole picture. Global economic shifts have devalued some Western currencies and made Thailand more expensive, but considering people, culture, weather, variable living standards, and beach getaway options, I think Thailand is still value for money. There are downsides to Thailand, perhaps the biggest being health and safety. Thailand has very high road traffic accident levels, and depending on where you're living, pollution can also pose a hazard to your health. Like many second world countries, regular reports of police corruption may worry some, but these problems always seem to exist where it's cheap. I think the aforementioned downsides are more of concern to those with children, perhaps a family considering relocating in their late 30s, 40s, or 50s. These issues can become a threat to the safety of children. Those with kids also have schooling to consider. Good private schools. Yeah, okay. Is the average retiree at 65 years old going to be worried about road traffic accidents or poor electrical wiring standards? Most will take the view that benefits outweigh the risk, and with a little extra caution, one can avoid something unfortunate happening. In addition, those with tie partners, yeah, okay. I don't know. I literally went down the rabbit hole with that. Went from talking about financial education, freedom, staking, buying Vanguard ETFs. to retiring in Thailand. Anyway, that's enough for me. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Let's hope to do another one of these chill sessions soon. Until next time, have a good night.